Find out everything we can offer your students by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
You are listening to WTIM, your information station. I'm Tim Zalabak. It's time now for the WTIM Morning Show. Thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. We have Dr. Kent Redfield, Professor Emeritus of Political Science from the University of Illinois on the line. How are you this morning, Doctor?
Just fine.
Well, we really appreciate your time this morning. Plenty of topics to get into, of course, on the political side of things here. Talking mostly about Illinois local legislation and the legislative session. A special interest in the budget this time of year in 2024. What do you have to say further on this, Dr. Redfield?
Well, the legislature is coming back, and while most people think that the old session is pretty much done, they'll be back probably on the 2nd of January. We got a little quirk in Illinois constitutional law where the old legislature actually can come in and do business in the first week of January, 7-8 days of January, because of the way the Constitution is written. The old legislature actually doesn't have to adjourn until the 8th, which is when the new session, all the people we elected back in November, all the new people come in. And so not much will go on, but 2 years ago, we actually passed major legislation. The Safety Act got passed in the waning days of the old legislature. And, what the quirk here is that you usually after the end of June, or the end of May, you can't pass legislation and get an immediate effective date unless you have a 3/5 vote. So you can't. It's hard to do tough bills, the second half of the year. But you've got kind of a magic window where you'll go back to only requiring a simple majority, and so sometimes there's action going on, but that's not likely to happen. But the old sometimes the old legislature, gavels out and on the Wednesday morning, the 8th, and then the new legislature, they swear people in the afternoon. So, that's not likely that we're going to have any action, but that there always could be surprises. But mostly the big point is this generally is a year. We've had the election. It's 2 years till another election. So generally, this is the time that we bring out new initiatives and start talking about how we're going to, implement all those campaign promises.
Oh.
And we're looking at, for the first time in almost, in a long time, since probably about 2018 or 19 or so, where we're really looking at a very tight budget, and with the possibilities of deficits being projected by not only the legislature's budget office, but the governor's budget office. And so we're going to have to, they're going to have to come in and figure out how they're going to spend within some pretty tight constraints. And that's, for a lot of the legislators that, have come into office since 2020, and all of the new people, they've never had a budget session where they have to talk about, serious cuts. If you want to, you want to come up with extra money for K-12 schools beyond what we promised with the new funding formula, they're going to have to come up with more, with some reductions somewhere else. We have a new state agency on early childhood education that has to be funded, but we also have to fund, all of the social service agencies.
Mm-hmm.
We have increases coming, increased obligations in terms of the pension system. So it makes for, a tough budget year in what normally would be, kind of well, we've got revenue growth and, we've got all of these great initiatives that I've run on. But it's going to be a lot easier to do things that don't cost money than things that cost money this time around.
Sure. Wow. Okay. So that was a great breakdown right there. We thank you for that, Dr. Redfield. And they're talking deficits and schools and social services right there. Where are you expecting cuts to come from there? If there are just some places where money can't be taken out of.
Well, the discretionary spending, what we learned back in the days when Governor Rauner was first governor, and we didn't have a state budget for a couple of years. There are automatic spending, and there are areas of spending that don't involve the general revenue fund, which would be things like the budget, the transportation fund. There are automatic spending involving state pensions. It's a number of areas that you just can't cut. And so when you do that, you're down to not hiring people. I mean, that's one way that you deal with tough budgets. Is if you've got open positions, you just don't fill them. You look for one-time money. That's what got us partially into trouble. Is we were spending COVID relief funds, which came from the federal government, pretty wide open. There was a lot of discretion in terms of spending that money. And so while we didn't go overboard in funding operating expenses with what's essentially, one-time or short-time money, there certainly is some of that. And so spending that has been grant money, particularly, that has come out of federal money that is now, because of the expiring of all of the federal programs involving COVID relief, that's going away. And so you're not going to have to, you're either going to, people that have been getting those grants are going to say, wow, well, how can we find other ways to fund them? And we just haven't had the revenue growth. The economic downturn means that we don't have the kind of normal growth that we have. And so that's, people will be finding money that, there is excess money in accounts that doesn't get spent, that sometimes gets reappropriated, and so we're going to be doing those things, but, that you get to the point where you're kind of looking for loose change in the couch. I mean, there just isn't that much, extra money laying around. So those are going to be, really, really tough decisions. And so some of it will be cut. Some of it will be, we've talked about child tax credits and ways of being more family friendly. And what tends to happen in these situations is you scale something like that way back, but you put it in the statute, you put a little money in it in hopes that you'll be able to expand it in future years. So, that's, and we're going to have budget pressures to deal with what looks like a crisis in the funding of mass transit in northeastern Illinois. And, there will be talk of revenue. It seems, I think it's highly unlikely we're going to get any kind of general tax increases, but that's your other option. You're either going to have to cut spending, you're going to have to find more money. But with the citizens turning down a progressive income tax 2 years ago, it's not likely that you're going to get any kind of general income tax increase.
Sure. And kind of paint us a full picture right here. It could have been those COVID dollars contributing to this, but I haven't seen a tight budget like this since the 2015 to 2018 area. What was Illinois doing right from 2018 to 2024, kind of giving us some comfort, and now we're in our current position? What were we doing in those years?
We had a growing economy, which is, we have just natural revenue growth in terms of, and for a certain period of time, and as inflation goes up, sales tax comes in, and then we're recovering in terms of of job growth, and so income tax goes up, and so you can, to a certain extent, put it on automatic pilot, but the problem is you get out over your skis, and you're just anticipating the good times are going to keep going on.
Yeah.
We had a general tax increase, but after the years of no budgets over Governor Rauner's veto, they passed an increase in the general in our general income tax, and so we were benefiting from that. But then the economy started to tighten, revenue started to tighten. We put money in, more money for schools with the new formula. But there have been a couple of times we spent put extra money in for elementary and secondary ed, and extra money in for pensions.
Wow.
On the higher ed side, we actually were cost shifting and not putting as much state dollars in state universities, and those got passed on to students and parents in terms of increases in tuition and fees. And so, we were just not as focused and not looking for efficiencies and economies, and kind of enjoying what was a good period in terms of and we had the extra federal money coming in, and all of that created it's not an overwhelming bubble, but it certainly is a big shift in the ways that we have been looking at our budgets over the last 2 or 3 cycles.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's Dr. Kent Redfield speaking on the preview of the 2025 legislative session. Just learning a whole lot with Dr. Redfield this morning. He's the professor emeritus of political science from the University of Illinois. We've got to take ourselves our short break on this WTIM morning show. Thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. We'll be right back on WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Chip Flory here, inviting you to join the conversation as we tackle the current issues of agriculture every weekday morning at 10:06 on the Talk of Central Illinois, News Talk WTIM. I host AgriTalk, the nation's longest-running interview show dedicated to discussing agriculture issues with the newsmakers, and include you in the conversation via our toll-free number. We're here weekdays mornings at 10:06. We are AgriTalk.
At Sloan Implement, your John Deere dealer in Taylorville, they promote success with all they sell. Established in 1931, Sloan Implement is one of the largest John Deere dealers in the world. With its headquarters in central Illinois, Sloan's dealerships provide new and used John Deere parts, equipment, and service. Whether it's planting, harvesting, or lawn and garden, trust Sloan Implement to deliver excellence every time. Stop by and visit the folks at Sloan Implement in Taylorville for the John Deere equipment and parts to keep you running.
Cold weather got your joints and muscles tense? Let Southern Ledge Pools and Patios in Taylorville help you find relief this winter. Stop in today and let our experienced staff show you our new Aspen hot tubs. Experience superior quality, innovative features, and a spa experience like no other. Whether you're unwinding after a long day or easing muscle tension, Aspen hot tubs are built for comfort and relaxation. Visit Southern Ledge Pools and Patios today. Let us help you find the perfect hot tub for your home and start relaxing in style.
People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, are proud to continue their long-standing sponsorship of honoring Taylorville High School Students of the Month on WTIM's many platforms on AM, FM, and streamed online, and on WMKR Genuine Country 94.3.
Hello, my name is Liam Lyon, and I'm Taylorville High School's Junior Student of the Month. My parents are Samantha Barnett and Jesse Lyon. Extracurricular activities, and I just kind of work for a construction company. Interest in hobbies, history, spending time with my family, driving my truck, and studying some plasma physics here and there. Future plan is to go to college and get my degree, then go work for my family's handyman service. Favorite subjects, history and math. Math is just a very utilitarian subject.
People People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, salutes these great Taylorville High School students on this honor and wish them the best in their future. People's Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
To learn more about Rolling Meadows Senior Living in Taylorville and the apartments they have available, click on their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Jansen's Heating and Air is the home of Dr. Comfort, focusing on customer care for heating and air conditioning across central Illinois for some 35 years. Find out their services, specials, and coupons by clicking their icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back into WTIM, your information station, in the midst of our morning show with Dr. Kent Redfield, Professor Emeritus of Political Science from the University of Illinois. In that first half, we previewed the 2025 legislative session, as I can run into the early bits of January right there. Let's move a little bit more national conversation here, Dr. Redfield. We just got through another year of a government shutdown, or could be government shutdown. We'll start with this. Why do we hear this year after year? And yeah, that's where it is, government shutdown. It just sounds so scary, Doctor.
Yeah, while Illinois looks messy, we are a model of prudence and efficiency compared to the federal budgeting. It is just, we're supposed to be funding, annual appropriations, regular order of business, and we've had these, gridlocks, split government, even with the prospect of having total Republican control. It is still very difficult to get back to dealing with a complete federal budget and the way that it's supposed to work. And so what we're operating under right now is a continuing resolution. And what that means is that, since they can't resolve funding of government, then they pass a short-term bill that says, well, we're just going to continue spending the way we've been spending for a little while longer. And so we were up against that. They eventually punted one more time. And so we're going to be under a continuing resolution until March 14th, when they will try to get a budget agreement that will fund government for hopefully the rest of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
And when you have, when the end of that continuing resolution means that you will shut down the federal government. Some things are automatic. Social Security checks go out without government, without the Congress passing a funding bill. But spending authority, again, is going to end on March 14th. And so, you can't go visit a national park because the people that are running the national parks are going to be furloughed. There's certain emergency stuff that keeps going, but it is very messy. So we keep just kind of going from one budget crisis to the next budget crisis. The other thing on top of that is the federal debt ceiling, which we have a limit on how much money we can borrow. And when we get up to that limit, if we don't extend it, then we don't have money to pay our obligation. It's like missing a mortgage payment and, the bank is threatening to come and take your house. Well, we would be defaulting on all of our national debt. And so these become part of the political games, the leverage, Democrats versus Republicans. But it's the average citizen that suffers.
Yeah. Again,
the small things like, going to Washington, D.C., and you can't visit the monuments because, the federal employees have been furloughed. But, you start to have deterioration within the services, and it just makes it, with the federal services it makes it much more difficult, to get back in when we're playing the political games. Then you don't notice it when it first starts. Ultimately, there are a lot of basic things the federal government does that won't get done if you end up with either, not losing your spending authority or not being able to borrow money to pay your bills.
Yeah.
And this will come up again and again and again till you get, finally get some kind of bipartisan agreement.
Sure. Still laughing at your initial comment right there, where this federal funding makes Illinois process seem prudent and efficient. But Doctor, we are totally out of time. Another conversation we could take an hour long right there. But thank you so much for your time today, and have a great Christmas holiday, sir.
Oh, you too.
Thank you.
Christmas. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Dr. Kent Redfield, Professor Emeritus of Political Science from the University of Illinois, right here on our WTIM Morning Show. Thank you all for tuning in.
Your information station, WTIM.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241.